No woman shoots like that. Ethan Cole said it without raising his voice. The firing range went quiet. Claire Whitmore remained behind the rifle, her pale cheek pressed against the stock, blue eyes steady behind the optic. A steel target stood far downrange, blurred by heat and drifting dust. Cole lowered his spotting scope. Again. Claire did not move. You want another shot, Commander? I want to know if the first one was luck. A few operators behind him exchanged glances. Claire heard them. She ignored them. Her hands moved with measured precision as she checked the rifle and settled back into position. There was nothing dramatic in the way she handled it. No swagger. No attempt to impress anyone. Just discipline. Cole watched closely. He had seen experienced shooters become impatient when challenged. Claire seemed to become quieter. She studied the flags along the range. One fluttered east. Another barely moved. Dust drifted across the ground, then changed direction. Claire waited. 5 seconds. 10. Cole glanced at his watch. You planning to shoot? When the conditions are right. Her answer was calm. Cole almost smiled. You have 30 seconds. Claire said nothing. The range seemed to hold its breath. Then the wind shifted. Claire made a tiny adjustment and settled her breathing. Her finger moved to the trigger. The rifle cracked. Cole immediately raised his scope. The distant steel target swung hard on its mount. A clean hit. Silence returned. Claire lifted her head. Cole lowered his scope slowly. He had wanted proof. He had gotten it. But before he could speak, the base alarm erupted. Red lights flashed near the operations building. Radios came alive across the range. All units, stand by for emergency tasking. Cole turned toward the command post. Another transmission followed. Recon team has lost contact in the Northern Valley. Possible hostile activity. Immediate response requested. The operators moved at once. Claire closed the rifle case. Cole looked at her. The controlled test was over. Whatever waited beyond the base would not be made of steel. It would move. It would hide. And it would not give her a second chance. Several hours. Earlier, Claire Whitmore had arrived at the forward operating base with a worn rifle case in one hand and a small gear bag over her shoulder. She passed through the gate without drawing attention, her pale skin flushed slightly from the afternoon heat, light brown hair secured beneath her field cap. She looked like another specialist reporting for duty. Inside operations, Ethan Cole opened her transfer file and stopped at the first page. Whitmore. Claire stood straight. Yes, sir. Cole glanced toward the rifle case. You're the sniper assigned to my team. Yes, sir. He turned another page. Certifications. Advanced marksmanship. Reconnaissance training. Then came the redactions. Entire sections were blocked from view. Cole looked up. What's missing? Claire's expression remained neutral. Information restricted by clearance, sir. One of the operators nearby looked over, curious. Cole closed the folder halfway. My team operates in difficult conditions. I need to know what I'm putting beside them. Then test me. The answer caught him off guard. Cole studied her for a moment. Most people became defensive when questioned. Claire had not. She simply stood there, waiting. You think a test settles this? No, sir. Then what does? Claire glanced toward the firing range outside the window. Performance. Cole followed her gaze. He had expected confidence. Instead, he found something quieter. No medals displayed. No stories about previous missions. No attempt to impress the room. Just a woman who seemed completely comfortable letting her work speak for her. Cole reopened the file. One line mentioned specialized sniper training. Another referenced operational evaluations, but the details remained restricted. "How long have you been doing this?" he asked. Claire paused. "Long enough to know when not to take a shot." Cole's expression hardened slightly. "That sounds like an answer designed to impress me." "It isn't." She picked up the rifle case. "It's a rule." Cole watched her walk toward the exit. Something about her calmness bothered him. He could not tell whether it came from experience, confidence, or something he had not yet seen. Outside, the firing range waited beneath the afternoon sun. Cole followed her. He pointed toward the distant targets. "One chance." Claire placed the case on the bench and opened it. "Understood." Cole folded his arms. "Let's see what performance looks like." Claire said nothing. She simply prepared the rifle. The first round had already told Ethan Cole more than he wanted to admit. Claire Whitmore stood behind the rifle, motionless except for the slow rhythm of her breathing. The distant target shimmered beneath the afternoon heat. Cole watched through his spotting scope, waiting for hesitation. None came. Claire studied the wind flags instead. One moved steadily. Another barely stirred. She waited until both changed direction. Then she made a small adjustment. "Wind's shifting," she said. Cole glanced toward the range. "You're sure?" "Yes, sir." She settled her cheek against the stock. "Now." The rifle cracked. Through the scope, Cole watched the steel target snap backward. Centered. Clean. He lowered the glass slowly. Claire had already begun resetting the rifle. "Again," he said. She looked at him. "You said one chance." "I changed my mind." Claire returned to the optic. Cole folded his arms. This time, he watched her hands. No wasted movement. No nervous correction. She was not trying to shoot quickly. She was waiting for the conditions to give her the shot. 30 seconds, Cole said. "Make it count." Claire remained still. The wind weakened. Dust settled across the range. She adjusted the rifle by a fraction and paused. Then the base alarm erupted. A sharp siren cut through the afternoon. Every operator turned toward operations. Cole grabbed his radio. "Report." Static answered first. Then a strained voice came through. "Recon team has lost contact in the Northern Valley. Possible hostile activity. We need immediate support." Cole looked at Claire. Her hand was already closing around the rifle case. "How many?" he asked. The radio crackled again. "4 personnel. Last position was near the eastern approach. Communications are intermittent." Cole checked the tactical display as another operator brought it over. The valley was narrow, broken by steep ridges and scattered rock. Formations. Any team trapped inside would have limited routes out. "We're moving," Cole said. Claire lifted the rifle case. "Understood." Cole looked at her for a moment. The test he had planned was no longer important. He had wanted to know whether she could make a difficult shot. Now he needed to know whether she could make difficult decisions when other people's lives depended on them. "Stay close," he said. Claire nodded once. The team moved toward the vehicles. Behind them, the steel target still swung gently in the distance. Ahead waited a valley where there would be no marked targets, no controlled wind flags, and no range officer calling time. Cole climbed into the lead vehicle and looked across at Claire. For the first time, he was not wondering whether she belonged on the range. He was wondering what she would see when the range disappeared. The convoy reached the Northern Valley 20 minutes later. Ethan Cole stepped out first, scanning the ridgeline while the others unloaded their equipment. The valley was quieter than the radio reports had suggested. Too quiet. Claire Whitmore carried her rifle case toward a rocky rise and stopped. Cole noticed. "What is it?" Claire looked across the valley. "That ridge." He raised his binoculars. "What about it?" "Something is wrong." Cole studied the terrain again. Nothing moved. No obvious muzzle flashes. No vehicles. No signal. "You see something?" "Not yet." Claire opened the rifle case. She moved with the same controlled precision Cole had seen at the range, but now there were no painted targets waiting for her. The reconnaissance team was somewhere beyond the eastern ridge. Cole checked the tactical display. "Last known position is here." Claire pointed toward a lower section of the valley. "That route is exposed." It was their planned route. Then someone knew the plan. Cole looked at her. The implication hung between them. Claire settled into an overwatch position behind natural cover and raised the optic. Cole remained beside her with binoculars. "Anything?" "Give me a second." She slowly scanned the ridge. A bird crossed the valley. Wind moved through the dry grass. Nothing else. Then Claire stopped. "There." Cole searched the same area. "I don't see it." 300 meters past the split rock. Cole adjusted his binoculars. A faint shape appeared between two sections of stone. "I have movement." "One position." Claire shifted slightly. "Maybe." Cole lowered the binoculars. "Maybe." "There's another position covering it." He looked again. This time he saw the second position. His expression changed. The hostile positions had been placed to control the obvious escape route. "Recon is trapped," Cole said. Claire continued watching. "Not completely." She pointed farther west. "There's a narrow route through those rocks." Cole checked the map. "That route wasn't marked." "Because it isn't a route unless you know where to look." The radio suddenly crackled. "Overwatch, this is Recon. We have contact. Multiple positions. We're pinned." Cole grabbed the radio. "Hold your position. Support is moving." He looked at Claire. "Can you open a path?" She watched the ridge for several seconds. "Yes." Cole waited. "Take the position when you have the shot." Claire's expression remained calm. "I won't take the shot just because you gave the order." Cole paused. Then he nodded. "Your call." For the first time, Claire looked directly at him. She returned her eye to the optic. The wind shifted. A distant figure moved behind the rocks. Claire waited. Another figure appeared. She adjusted her position by a fraction. Cole watched her through his binoculars. The range had tested whether she could hit a target. This valley would test whether she knew which target mattered. Then Claire whispered, "Now." The rifle rose into position. And Cole stopped looking at her as a woman who needed to prove herself. He started watching her as the person responsible for finding the way out. "Now." Claire Whitmore squeezed the trigger. The rifle cracked across the valley, and Ethan Cole immediately raised his binoculars. The distant position disappeared behind the rocks. For a moment, nothing moved. Then another figure shifted from cover. Claire had already found it. "Second position," she said. Cole watched the ridge. "I have him." "Wait." He stopped. Claire kept her eye behind the optic. "There's another position behind him." Cole searched again. This time he saw the faint outline of a weapon near the rocks. Confirmed. Below them, the reconnaissance team remained pinned against the valley wall. Their radio crackled. We need that route open now. Cole keyed his radio. Hold where you are. We're working it. Claire continued watching the ridge. The second hostile moved first, stepping into a narrow gap between two rocks. Claire did not fire. Cole glanced at her. Why not? Because he's not the problem. A few seconds later, the third position appeared farther west. Claire adjusted her aim. That one controls the escape route. Cole looked toward the map. She was right. The position was almost invisible from their angle, but it had a clear view of the narrow passage. Take it, he said. Claire remained still. The wind crossed the ridge, carrying dust through the gap. She waited until the movement settled. Then she fired. The distant figure dropped from sight. Recon, move west, Cole ordered. You have an opening. Four operators emerged from cover and moved toward the narrow passage. Claire followed them through the optic. Keep moving, she said quietly. Cole relayed the instruction. The team reached the first rocks. Then Claire's expression changed. Stop them. Cole immediately keyed the radio. Recon, halt. The lead operator froze. What's wrong? Claire pointed toward the opposite ridge. There. Cole searched. Nothing. I don't see it. You will. A moment later, a small movement appeared near the ridge line. Cole found it. I see him. Claire continued scanning. That's not the only one. Another figure appeared farther back. Then another. Cole lowered the binoculars. 3. 3 confirmed. The situation had changed again. The route was no longer simply blocked. The opposing force was repositioning around the reconnaissance team. Claire studied the valley instead of rushing to fire. They're moving toward the western exit. Cole checked the map. That's our extraction route. Yes. Can you stop them? Claire looked at the terrain. I can give the team a window. Cole nodded. How long? 30 seconds. He immediately contacted the reconnaissance team. Move on my command. You'll have 30 seconds. Claire settled behind the rifle again. Cole watched her face. There was no excitement. No fear. Only concentration. The first hostile stepped into view. Claire waited. The second followed. She adjusted slightly. Ready, she said. Cole gave the order. Move. The reconnaissance team broke from cover. Claire fired once. Then she shifted. A second precise shot followed. The western ridge fell quiet long enough for the team to cross. Cole watched them disappear behind cover. He lowered his binoculars and looked at Claire. You knew they would move. She kept scanning. They had to. Cole nodded slowly. The question was no longer whether Claire could hit a target. He was beginning to understand that her real advantage was knowing which target mattered. The reconnaissance team disappeared behind the rocks, but Claire Whitmore did not lower her rifle. Ethan Cole watched her through his binoculars. They're clear, he said. Claire kept scanning. For now. Cole looked toward the valley. What do you see? Movement on the eastern ridge. He searched the area. Nothing. Then a faint shape appeared between two rocks. I have one. Claire shifted her aim. There are two. Cole found the second position. You were right. Claire remained still. They're repositioning. Below, the reconnaissance team reached a narrow section of cover. Their radio came alive. Cole, we have movement ahead. Cole answered immediately. Hold position. Claire studied the terrain. They're trying to push the team south. Can you stop them? Not yet. Cole looked at her. What are you waiting for? A clean shot. The words were simple, but Cole understood now. Claire was not interested in firing merely because a target appeared. She was reading the entire battlefield. A hostile figure moved along the ridge, then disappeared. Another appeared behind him. Claire followed the movement without rushing. That one is watching the team, she said. Cole raised his binoculars. Confirmed. The other is covering him. Cole looked back at the reconnaissance team. If they move now, they walk into the second position. Cole keyed the radio. Recon, stay where you are. Claire waited. The wind shifted across the valley. Dust lifted from the ground and drifted toward the ridge. Claire adjusted her position by a fraction. Now I have it. Cole looked at her. Take it. Claire fired. The distant position disappeared. Before the second position could react, Claire shifted her aim. Another shot echoed across the valley. Silence followed. Cole lowered his binoculars. Move, he ordered. The reconnaissance team crossed the exposed section and reached cover. We're through, came the reply. Claire continued scanning. They'll realize what happened. Cole understood. Then we move too. He signaled the operators behind them. Everyone began shifting toward a secondary position. Claire carried the rifle close against her body as they moved. The valley had changed. The enemy no longer controlled the same angles, and Claire knew it. Cole walked beside her. How are you seeing these positions before anyone else? Claire glanced toward the ridge. People reveal themselves. How? Movement. Dust. Patterns. Cole nodded slowly. He had spent years learning to read terrain, but Claire seemed to read it one layer deeper. Then she stopped. Cole immediately stopped with her. What? Claire looked toward the highest ridge. They found us. A sharp burst struck the rocks behind them. The team dropped for cover. Cole looked at Claire. How many? She raised the rifle again, her expression unchanged. 3 confirmed. Another burst echoed across the valley. Claire shifted behind cover. And they're moving. Cole looked toward the reconnaissance team. Can they still reach extraction? Claire watched the ridge. Yes. She paused. If we give them time. Cole understood what she meant. The enemy had finally discovered the shooter who had been controlling the fight. Now Claire was no longer simply watching the battlefield. She was part of it. They found us. Claire Whitmore's voice remained calm as another burst struck the rocks above the team. Ethan Cole dropped lower and looked toward the ridge. 3 positions were visible now, each controlling a different section of the valley. Can we move? He asked. Claire watched the terrain through her optic. Not yet. Cole looked at the reconnaissance team. They were still behind cover, waiting for the route to extraction. They're closing the western approach. I know. Claire shifted her position. Then what do we do? She pointed toward the highest ridge. Make them look at me. Cole understood immediately. You want to draw their attention? For a few seconds. He studied her expression. There was no hesitation. We'll cover you. Claire settled behind the rifle. Cole moved his team into a defensive position while the reconnaissance operators prepared to continue toward extraction. Another burst struck the rocks. Claire waited. She was no longer watching individual figures. She was watching the spaces between them. One hostile moved left. Another shifted higher. The third remained hidden. There, she whispered. Cole raised his binoculars. I see one. That's the one they want us to see. He looked again. A faint movement appeared behind the ridge. Second position. Claire nodded. And the third? Cole searched. I don't have him. You will. Seconds passed. Then a small flash appeared near a rock. Cole saw it. Confirmed. Claire adjusted her position. When I fire, the team moves. Cole keyed his radio. Recon, prepare to move on my command. Copy. Claire waited for the wind to settle. Then she fired. The first position went silent. Cole immediately gave the order. Move. The reconnaissance team crossed the open section. Claire shifted toward the second position. A figure emerged from cover. She fired again. The team reached the next rocks. Halfway, Cole said. Claire scanned the ridge. Not yet. What? The third position. She found the hidden shooter before he moved. Cole searched desperately. Where? Above the broken tree. He found the location. The hostile began shifting toward a better angle. Claire waited until the movement exposed him. Then she fired. Silence returned to the ridge. Go, Cole ordered. The reconnaissance team moved toward the final extraction point. Claire lowered the rifle for the first time in several minutes. Cole looked at her. You could have taken that last shot sooner. It wasn't clean. He nodded. He finally understood. Claire was not chasing targets. She was protecting decisions. A radio transmission came through. Recon team has reached extraction. Cole exhaled. All personnel accounted for except one wounded. Condition stable. Claire looked toward the ridge again. Then we're done. Cole followed her gaze. Are we? She pointed toward a distant section of terrain. Nothing moved there. That's the problem. Cole raised his binoculars. What do you see? Claire shook her head. Nothing. He looked at her. Then why are you worried? Her expression tightened slightly. Because someone should be there. Cole stared across the valley. For the first time, he trusted her instinct without asking for proof. The team began withdrawing from the position. Behind them, the valley remained silent. But Cole knew the lesson had already changed. He had started the day asking whether Claire could shoot. Now he was following her judgment without hesitation. Because someone should be there. Ethan Cole kept his binoculars raised, staring across the empty ridge. Claire Whitmore had already lowered her rifle. She did not look satisfied. She looked certain. We're leaving, Cole said. Claire nodded, but her eyes remained on the terrain until the team disappeared behind the next rise. Back at the forward operating base, the reconnaissance operators were transferred to medical support. Their wounded teammate was stable. The mission report came together quickly, hostile positions had been identified, the team had been pinned, and an unexpected overwatch element had opened the route. Cole sat alone in operations, reviewing the timeline. Every decision Claire had made had been deliberate. She had refused uncertain shots. She had identified concealed positions before they became obvious threats. Most importantly, she had repeatedly chosen the shot that protected the team rather than the shot that made her look impressive. Cole opened Claire's personnel file. The first pages contained the same certifications he had seen earlier. Then he requested the restricted sections available to his clearance. A secure screen displayed additional evaluations. Advanced marksmanship. Reconnaissance experience. Operational assessments. Several details remained inaccessible, but the language of the evaluations was enough to make Cole stop. Controlled under pressure. Exceptional observation. Disciplined judgment. He read the lines twice. There was no exaggerated language. No claim that Claire was unstoppable. The record simply described a professional who consistently made sound decisions under pressure. Cole leaned back. He remembered the range. He remembered saying, "No woman shoots like that." At the time, he had believed the problem was the shot. Now he understood the problem had been his assumption. Claire had never asked him to trust her because she was a woman. She had not demanded recognition because of her qualifications. She had simply waited for the right conditions and done the job. Cole closed the file and walked toward the armory. Claire was there, cleaning her rifle in silence. She looked up when he entered. "Recon team is stable," he said. "Good." Cole stood beside the maintenance table. "I reviewed the portions of your record I'm cleared to see." Claire continued working. "And? You could have told me." She paused. "Would it have changed the test?" Cole had no answer. Claire returned her attention to the rifle. "Then there was no reason to." Cole looked at her for several seconds. His expression had changed. The skepticism was gone. "Tomorrow morning," he said, "the team will be at the range." Claire glanced up. "For another test?" "No," Cole shook his head. "For a lesson." Claire gave a small nod. No smile. No celebration. She simply continued cleaning the rifle. Cole walked out of the armory knowing that the woman he had questioned that morning had already answered every question that mattered. "I was wrong." Ethan Cole's voice carried across the firing range. Claire Whitmore stood beside her rifle case, calm as ever, while the SEAL team gathered behind him. The same range where Cole had questioned her now seemed unusually quiet. He looked directly at Claire. "Yesterday, I said no woman shoots like that." Claire said nothing. Cole continued. "I was wrong." No. Excuse followed. No attempt to soften the words. Just a commander acknowledging a mistake in front of the people who had witnessed it. One of the reconnaissance operators stepped forward, his arms still supported after the Valley mission. "You got us out," he said. Claire shook her head slightly. "Your team got itself out. Not without you." Claire gave him a quiet nod. Cole looked toward the targets. "There's something I want the team to understand." The operators turned toward him. "Skill isn't just hitting a target. It's knowing when to wait, when to move, and when one shot matters more than another." His eyes returned to Claire. "She showed us that yesterday." Claire remained silent. Cole reached into his pocket and removed a SEAL team patch. He held it out to her. "This isn't a reward." Claire looked at the patch. "I know. It's recognition." He extended his hand. "You earned it." Claire accepted the patch without ceremony. No smile. No speech. She simply secured it beside her gear. Around them, the operators watched quietly. The atmosphere had changed. Nobody needed to be convinced anymore. Cole stepped back toward the firing line. "One more shot." Claire looked at him. "You sure?" A faint smile appeared on his face. "This time, I'm watching the target." Claire opened the rifle case. The team moved behind the line. She prepared the rifle and settled into position. The range was almost silent. She studied the wind, the distant flags, and the target. Nobody rushed her. Nobody questioned her. Nobody told her when to fire. Cole raised his spotting scope. Claire waited. The wind shifted. She made a small adjustment, took one controlled breath, and squeezed the trigger. The rifle cracked across the range. The steel target rang in the distance. Cole lowered his scope. This time, he did not look surprised. He simply nodded. "Good shot." Claire secured the rifle and stood. The operators began walking toward the armory. One stopped beside her and gave a respectful nod. Another stepped aside, allowing her to pass. Claire noticed, but said nothing. She had never asked them to respect her. She had never demanded that they believe in her. She had simply shown them what she could do when the pressure was real. Ethan Cole watched her disappear beyond the range, the teen patch secured beside her gear. The lesson had started with doubt, continued through a battlefield, and ended with a single shot. The rifle had never needed to explain who she was. Her actions had done that for her. Respect was never demanded. It was earned.